Welcome, I am Pedro Javier from the Connectif team. In this new video, we will see how to create a workflow whose objective is to show a series of products related to the product that one of our users visits on the web. To do this, we are going to go to the workflow section where we are right now and click on Create New Workflow and create blank. Once arrived in the canvas, we will make changes to the audience, which is done using the Start node. As this is a generic strategy, all users who visit web products must see them as related. We will indicate here the existing ones as well as the new ones, and we will give them an update to ensure they are up to date. Currently, we need the node when visiting the product. It is a trigger type, so we find it in the first column of the table. This node is utilized to respond to user visits to the website, but specifically and exclusively when they visit a page displaying a product. If we access it, we can observe that it can be configured by adding filters. For instance, we could state, that it is from a particular brand or that its price is greater than a certain amount. However, for this occasion, we won't indicate any filter. Nevertheless, we'll make a modification. In the Limitations tab, we will be removing the default limitation. May I know the reason for this decision? Because we want that block of related products to always be displayed. If we remove the limitation, it would only be displayed the first time one of these products is visited. Then, once deactivated, we click on the Update button. The subsequent node that we are going to utilize is of type action and is named Get Products from the database. We located him in this area within the action column. We retrieve it and move it by dragging. We should now proceed to access it. This node, as can be observed, possesses a multitude of different use cases. However, what is its purpose? Its function is to collect information about a series of products based on the options we choose in order to send them in a content. Although on this occasion we are going to use a block of products, it could also be used for an email, it could be used for a pop-up, for any connective content. So let's examine the various types of use cases it possesses. The initial ones are the generals, who do not participate or have any connection to either the contact or the product. Here we can see filtered products, and the filter could be based on any information such as price, category, or tag. Then we have the top sellers on the web, the most frequently visited on the web, and the products that are selected manually. This would be to specifically choose the products that we want to be sent. Then we have use cases that are directly related to user activity, such as the items they last visited and the items they last purchased from our website. In the end, we observe a total of 8 use cases that seem to repeat in pairs. These use cases are closely related to a product, a list, a cart, and a purchase, forming a crucial part of the overall functionality. However, what are the dissimilarities? One is explicitly associated while the other is automatically associated. The initial one, explicitly related, makes reference to that particular choice within the e-commerce catalog in order to indicate for each individual product the ones with which it is associated, that is to say, it is clearly specified. While the automatically related is a connective function that is based on the activities that the user has on the web, such as adding them to a shopping cart, buying them together, or visiting some after others, it automatically creates relationships between them, hence its name and the reason behind its effectiveness. For this specific scenario, we are going to utilize the use cases that are automatically related to a product, and as a secondary option, we are going to utilize the last visited ones for our analysis. Once both are selected, we click on Configure. In this first use case, we can see that it allows us first to choose the number of products to pick up. We indicate 2. In this second section, it allows us to specify the source. This refers to whether they should be products from the entire catalog or from a specific segment of them. However, in this case, we keep all the products that is from the entire catalog. Then we can see more options. Here, he asks you what this product is related to. This option is very important for this use case because here is where we specify that this product is related to the first product, the one being visited, which is exactly the node we have used just before this one we selected. And here we could additionally include new conditions. For instance, possessing a concrete idea, possessing a brand, a priority. But in this instance, we are not going to turn to it. We eliminate it, and then we observe a final option pertaining to the order in which these products that are gathered should be displayed, including the ability to randomize them. Once the use case is configured, we move on to the secondary one. The objective of this second use case is to have the capability to fill in the number specified at the end in the summary if it cannot be filled with the main case that is being considered. In this scenario, we will indicate 2. Subsequently, we will have similar options to the first use case as some are shared, such as the origin and conditions. However, in this particular case, which is temporary, we also observe that we can specify a specific date for it. And we will indicate that the range is the last 7 days. Once we have configured the options we desire, we proceed to the final step, which is the summary. What do we observe in the summary? Here we see the main use case and the use case that we have added as secondary or additional, and we see 3 options. The first one is the number of products that the node must collect in total between the 2 use cases. Here we are going to indicate 4. The subsequent 2 options are to fill with products up to the limit that has been selected. This option is employed to populate with random products in the event that we are unable to reach the specified figure of 4 with the 2 designated use cases. And the second choice is to exclude the products that are collected from nodes prior to this one, which serves in such a way that the visited node cannot be collected. In this case, we'll mark it. It's crucial to us because one of our cases is the last visited products, so we ensure that the ones to be shown are excluded, and up to this point we would have finished configuring this node. We click on Finish button. Finally, the node we need to complete the strategy is referred to as sending web content. This one here, from the Actions column as well. We place it and access to edit it. Within this node, the first thing we see is that we have to choose a web content, or we can create it from scratch, which is what we are going to do in this case. If we click here to create new content, we see a total of 5 different options. These are the different types of web content that Connectif has. In this case, we'll choose the inline because this is the one that's embedded within the web page. And we are going to modify the name. We will refer to it as products. Here we provide you with the ability to create and directly access the web content editor. This editor, located on the right side, contains a variety of components that we can utilize to arrange its layout. For instance, we can observe that it's possible to modify the column structure. We can view certain fundamental elements like text or an image. Let us drag the text. For what purpose? As we know that this is going to be a block of related products, we are going to indicate to the client that they may be interested. In this step, we make edits to enable the insertion of our desired text. As a result, we now have a concise text positioned above it. Moving forward, we notice the presence of a section containing advanced elements, with one of them being the products component. This component aligns perfectly with our requirements. By dragging and dropping it, we are presented with a default configuration that includes a base template along with 2 additional templates that can be selected based on our needs. Here we observe them. In this case, we'll choose the one with the best price. But first, let's examine the 2 options we have available. The initial one is the name of this block, which we will keep as a list of products, and the type can either be static or carousel in nature. The carousel one is the one that moves, enabling the products to advance. However, for this scenario, we are going to keep it static. Now, what else can we do? Well, below, You can customize the block. In this case, what we'll do is remove the description because we're not interested. We think it would take up too much space. Well, nothing occurs. We have edited the template. However, if we click it once more, we will restore its initial value. And down below, we observe the structure. This is what enables us to determine the quantity of products that will be displayed. Let's recall that in the prior node, we had chosen 4. So now we are going to specify that in the layout of the desktop computer, we want there to be a single row with 4 columns. And in the mobile layout, we want it to be the opposite, with 4 columns in a single row. The other choices conform to the agreement, but they are not required in this particular situation. If we click outside, we already have that block of products configured. Now let's click on Save to move forward to the different options. We revisit the selector and transition from the first to the second step in the process. In this second step, what we are observing here is that it provides us with information that we need to select a selector. What is a selector? It's an HTML block on the web page. What is the significance or implication of this? As we mentioned previously, inline elements are a block of content that is embedded within the page. Therefore, we require that HTML selector in order to indicate the specific position where it should be positioned or placed. Our intention is to proceed to the page in order to examine how we can carry out a search on it. In this case, we click, and if we click on F12 for Google Chrome, we are able to see that we have the capability to access the elements, namely the HTML layout of the web page. And with this button that is located at the top left corner, we can navigate through the different points of the website. Let's look for a specific space where it would be interesting for us to place that block of products. We are descending, and for instance, here we observe that there is a fairly sizable area. Let's capitalize on this opportunity, and here we discover that we can choose this and determine how we wish to position it directly above, indicating it. What has occurred? Here on the right, we can observe that we are being indicated which particular selector is the one we have selected. What do we need to do at this moment? Do you observe that it states ID equals footer at this location? Well, we must duplicate that precise word, namely the name of the footer ID. We double click and duplicate. Presently with him, we are returning to the workflow. What are we going to do with him? Here we choose the ID because we had seen that it was an ID equal to footer. Then we are going to place it, that value. And finally, as for the position, we wanted to put it right above. So we choose that option. Up to this point, it would already be marked how to position that inline. In this way, it will appear right above the footer. And we move on to the third step. What are we seeing in this third part of the process? We are observing the details and determining the next actions to take. Here we can observe that there are a total of 3 columns. The initial column, indicated as this one here, pertains to the data in the nodes preceding it. In this column, we can view the contact information originating from the start node, as well as the details of the product visit. Additionally, we can access the information from the node labeled Get Products, which is specifically the data required to obtain and display related articles pertaining to the currently visited item. Within the second column, we can identify several vacant boxes that necessitate completion using the values specified on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we encounter variables, which play a pivotal role in constituting the template of the product block. This particular template was previously observed during the process of laying out the inline elements. If you observe, the description one does not appear because we had deleted it. Therefore, what is the action required here? Let's discover the values that need to be placed in each of these boxes. For instance, in this case, we locate the one named and then we drag it. Here we locate the button. The URL of the product can be found here. In addition, we have the image, the unit price, and ultimately the text of the button is available here. However, this one does not need information from a node. It needs us to give it an exact data, and we are going to do that with this value, the literal. When dragging it, a box appears that enables us to write, here we are going to state that the information that should be displayed is see more, meaning that the button will contain a text saying see more. Up to this point, we would have already configured the entire node, but we are missing one detail, which is in its limitations tab, we must remove the default one. Why? Because as we mentioned in the node when visiting a product, we need this to be a continuous strategy that always happens. Once finished, we click on the Finish button. Now, at this stage, we have already completed the setup of the entire workflow, but we would like to observe how the product block appears on the page. In order to achieve this, we will activate the workflow. We will proceed to the Start button, where we will choose the immediately option for the beginning and the manually option for the stop. Finally, we will click on Start once again to initiate the process. Right now, the workflow is already active. What are we going to do? We are going to visit a product on our page. Here we have one. We click on Update the page, and unlike before, we can appreciate that now a block of products is being displayed just above the footer where we had indicated. And in any of them, we can see that it comes with the name, the image, the price, the button with more information, and if we click, we can visit that new page for all the variables that we had configured. All this achieved with this workflow that we have configured up until this point. This strategy enables us to view more information such as advanced blocks of web content layout, or see more information related to the node Get Products. Don't forget to click on the additional information links that accompany this video. See you in the next one. Until next time.